Everyone, welcome to the On 24 webcast series with OPTEX. We'll give everyone one more minute here to get all logged in. Feel free to check out the On 24 platform. There's quite a few tools and widgets. You can download some of the PDFs we have posted there. And yeah, we'll let everyone get logged on here, and then I'll kick things off here at 11:01. All right, so let's get started. Welcome, everyone. This is our On 24 webcast series with OPTEX. Today, we will be featuring our new Elite Pro swing door sensor. As I mentioned a moment ago, if you're just joining, feel free to check out the On 24 platform. There's downloadable PDFs of manuals, cut sheets. Our direct contact information is also listed here. And I do want to say you can ask questions. There's a Q&A box. This is a private webcast, so no one can see who's asking questions, nor can anyone see who is attending this webcast. So feel free to type your questions in at any time during the webcast, and at the end, we'll answer as many as we can. Any that we cannot get to or need, more a detailed answer, we'll be following up and reaching out directly. So just to go over our agenda today, there's two presenters, myself. My name is Tyler Shepard. I'm our Director of Sales and Business Development. Also joining me is my colleague, John Montgomery. John is our Technical Support Engineer. We'll both be presenting. What is the Elite Pro? It is a door-mounted safety sensor for low energy or full energy swing doors. We'll be covering the concept of the new sensor, how it sets up, the auto configuration of the new sensor. There's also a visualization tool within the app that we utilize with this sensor. We'll cover a couple special features of the new one and some recent installations, and we'll wrap everything up. And John, I will pass it over to you, sir. Carry away.
All right. What is the Elite Pro? Elite Pro is a swing door safety system for pedestrians. And as you guys can see in the animation here, it'll keep the door from hitting somebody from the swing side if somebody's coming in. It'll keep the door open if somebody's standing there. It exceeds the ADAM standards or the ANSI standards of the 156.10 and the 551 rules. So if anybody's wondering about that. The main components of our new Elite Pro series. We're going to do a little comparison here on this one from our old Elite T series that had the door loop, which was our problem child, to say the least. We've listened and we took out the door loop. Now, just to emphasize, there is still a power transfer cable, so it's not wireless, but we have eliminated the position sensor, or what we call the door loop. Before, in the old Elite T, you had two controllers. If you had a dual door system, single control for a single door system. With the new Elite Pro, there's only going to be one controller that can do the dual doors or single doors or even the LE, low energy models. Again, we have eliminated the door loop, but there is still a power transfer wire that will need to be put in place. The position sensor, or the old door loop on the Elite T, the new system has a built-in position sensor in the sensor head itself. So that's how we can learn the positions of the doors. As you can see on the diagrams here, I have some red boxes put up. That's just explaining the old door loop. The 2 controls for a dual door system, all down to 1 control with the new 907 box. I'm going to go on. The main components of the Elite Pro, we have our 1 control for the doors. It's the 907 CT, and our sensor heads are now the OA607s. The 907, it can control up to 4 sensor heads, so you can do a dual door with 1 control again. So this helps out with some less wiring, less everything. It's a lot more tech friendly than our past sensors. We support all kinds of doors, and our new sensor heads, one of the best things I like is if you have to switch out from an Elite T to an Elite Pro, the mounting patterns and stuff for the new Elite Pro is the same as the Elite T. So there's no new holes to drill, no new anything really. Everything will actually mount up. It should mount up right with any existing Elite T system if you have to replace them. The concept, this started years and years ago. People, the market was asking for the best swing door system. And in my opinion, OPTEX has now given them the best swing door system at the best costs. They wanted ease of setup, easy installation. There's a simple equipment configuration. We actually have a 1 push setting that will auto configure. We do have a push button on the sensor head, and we'll cover that in just a minute. And we also have a Wi-Fi connection, so you don't have to download an app or anything like that. You can actually hook up any type of device that has Wi-Fi capability, and you can actually connect to our controller, and you can do fine-tune adjustments, or you can even do troubleshooting through that app. I keep calling it an app. It's not an app. It's a Wi-Fi setting. 3 models of the Elite Pro series. We now have a low energy series, the Elite Pro LE. So if you only want to have a single sensor on a low energy door, we can now do that. As to where the Elite T, you still had to have the approach and swing side sensors to make the Elite T work. The Elite Pro, you can order an Elite Pro LE. It'll come with a controller and 1 sensor head, and you can determine, do I want to put this on the safety side or approach side? That's up to you. The Elite Pro series is for a full power swing door. It comes with 2 sensor heads and a controller, and of course all the harnesses you need to hook it up. Or the Elite Pro 2 comes for a dual door, so dual egress, simultaneous pairs. Either way, they come with 4 sensor heads and 1 controller, which is a lot better than having to wire in 2 controllers and all the stuff of the previous Elite T. The benefit, as you can see at the bottom, there's going to be reduced installation time and a lot of reduced risk of damaging the components. As before the door loop, I don't want to say it this way, but it was fairly easy to damage if you installed it wrong. You know, it had a pivot, and if that pivot broke, then the door loop was no good. So no door loop on the Elite Pro. I'm going to keep emphasizing that throughout this. The auto configuration. Installation on the old Pro Swing Elite T, you had the installation wiring, you had the setting by dip switches, you had to change a whole bunch of dip switches, you had to pick the side of the door, you had to choose the handing of the door, all via dip switches. On our new Elite Pro series, it does all that for you. It's very technician friendly. It'll learn what handing the door is. It'll learn what side the sensor is on. So all you have to do is, once everything's wired up and ready to learn, all you have to do is hit the function switch, wait till the LED blinks yellow, step back and let it do its thing. So it's literally a one button setup. If there are errors or anything, then you can always go through and deal with the Wi-Fi, which we'll cover here in just a few minutes. The Elite T, as you can see, had 8 dip switches on the controller. You had to change each dip switch for what you want. You know, you could do normally open, normally closed. The good thing about the Elite Pro is it'll figure out if the contact is normally open or normally closed for you, along with the handing, the side of the door swing or approach. You don't have to flip any dip switches on the sensor heads anymore. There are still dip switches on the sensor head, which can go back to where you can make the zone a little bit smaller. So we do give you that option, but all in all, the sensors learn themselves, and I found it remarkable that they were able to actually do this over the past few years and nail it. Our engineering team in Japan has nailed this. On our new Elite Pro series, this is something great. We have just the wiring harness. You got orange and brown, that's a power harness. It sits off to the side, so it's not in the main harness. All of our wires are polarity free, so if it doesn't matter if you put one wire in common and one wire in deactivation, doesn't matter which wire it is, they're polarity free. Along with the motor leads. Our motor leads are now red, so it should pick up on the positive and negative motor string automatically. We have eliminated the old blue wires for the safety input. On the Elite T, you had 2 blues and 2 greens. We're doing everything with just 2 green wires now. The pink wires are for monitoring, so these sensors are monitoring capable. The purple wires, just like before, are to tie in knowing activation. And we also included 2 white wires just in case you want to use a door closed position switch, or you have a security or something like that and you want to use a switch for it to close. You can utilize the white wires instead of the motor wires for a door close switch. That is only an option. You don't have to use it, and I actually suggest still using the motor leads if you're not using something special. But we did give you the option. Again, the pink wires are for monitoring our test outputs. So if you look over here, you can see pink monitoring. Doesn't matter which one goes where, you just have to have a positive and negative. Most controls will let you know if it's test positive or common or negative. So very much ease of setup in the wiring. As you can see this, there's, instead of having multiple wires to go into multiple places and sometimes having to double stack, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 wires, and usually you're only going to use probably the first 8 unless you have to use the knowing act or the door position switch. I'm going to turn it over here to Tyler at this time, and he's going to actually go over the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So, Tyler.
Thank you, John. All right, so on the new Elite Pro, this is, I think, one of the most new innovative aspects of this new sensor system. We have the controller is capable of creating a Wi-Fi signal, and it's not Wi-Fi like you would think of at your house where it's broadcasting internet. It more works like a local network. So you turn on the Wi-Fi on the 907 controller, with any smart device, whether it's an iPhone, an Android, a tablet, you would open up your settings and you actually go into your Wi-Fi settings and find the Elite Pro controller. It pops up Elite Pro with the serial number. Once you do that, you log into it. They are password protected. So there's a default password, 8 digits to get logged on. Once you do get logged in, it asks you to change the password. So you have a specific password. So we've all seen, facilities guys or maintenance guys who get brave and decide that they're going to work on the automatic doors, and usually they do more harm than good. So we went ahead and password protected all the fine-tune adjustments for the Elite Pro. Say we've been getting a lot of questions about if you came up on an Elite Pro system but you didn't set the password, so how do you get in? There is a back door. There's a little process. You push and hold the button and do a couple things, which we can describe in detail, to reset the password back to default. So if you're a tech, you're going to know what that default password is, and you'd be able to get into it and then make your own password. So it's not a big deal if you got a new account, there's a bunch of Elite Pros and you don't know how to get into them. You just have to reset the password. So once you're logged on to the web-based application, you'll see on the slide here, there's an IP address in the browser bar. It is the same IP address for every Elite Pro controller. So what I've done, I save that as a favorite. So when I come up to a door that I've worked on, I can open up that favorite. The address is already there and you can get logged in. Say you didn't do that, on the sensor head itself is a QR code that you can scan with your phone and it brings you right to where you need to go. So once you get logged in, you'll see there's on that first picture of it looks like an iPhone, there's 3 tabs. It is a simple application. Once again, it's a web-based application. So you're not going to download an app. You go to this IP address via typing it in or scanning the QR code. And there's 3 tabs. The first is OC, which is the controller tab. This is the adjustments for the controller itself that's up in the header. So this is where you could make it knowing act or not knowing act, adjust the contact, normally open, normally close, the delay time. There's several adjustments in there under OC. The second tab is the OA tab. That is the sensor heads. That is the 607 heads. So under that tab, if you have 4 sensors, you would see 4 columns within that tab, and it's each individual sensor head. So once you install them, you learn the door. Say you did it manually with the push button on the sensor head. The sensors, as John described earlier, they detect where they are. If it doesn't matter what it is. If you're using a dual egress, both doors are right swinging. Each sensor will detect if it's on the swing side, the approach side, if it's a left or it's a right. You don't have to program any of that manually. The sensors do it themselves. On top of that, there's other adjustments. That's under the OA tab is where you can fine tune your zone. So if you want to shut down a row or shrink a zone on one specific head or all of the heads, that's where you would do it under the OA tab. There's a button called area setting, which at the end here, we have a couple videos I'll be showing, and it shows the app in real time of going through a learn process, adjusting the different tabs on the different pages. So we'll show you that so you can see what it actually looks like and how it works. The last tab that we have within the application is the status tab. That is pictured in the second photo here on this slide. And this is the coolest part to me, because back when I was a tech, nothing like this ever existed. We would walk test it get a piece of paper and see like where the sensor is actually starting to pick you up at. So now with the new Elite Pro, if you click on this status tab, it shows you in real time the infrared dots on all of the sensor heads. So here you'll see this is a dual outswing pair. It has 4 sensor heads, and those blue dots are the infrared dots for each sensor head. Blue meaning they're not in detection, red meaning they are in detection. So once again, we have a video of this where you can see in real time where one of our engineers is approaching a door and you see the infrared dots start to turn red as he goes through the door. I think this is very productive. I've been on many a service calls, especially if you're in a busy healthcare setting where there's tons and tons of people going through the door and you just need it, 30 seconds for this door to run one time. You can log in to the Elite Pro web-based application, stand off to the side of the door, not open a header, not crack open a sensor head, log into it and see what the sensor heads are seeing to make your troubleshooting much easier. If you're on the approach side of the door and you have a swing side head that is becoming interrupted for whatever reason, there's a guide rail, there's a wall, there's somebody, there's a cone, whatever it is, you can fire the door and see the swing side sensors without actually having to be on the swing side of the door if the sensors are throwing an error or they're getting interrupted by something. Lastly, on this status page, you'll see pictured in the 4th photo here, there's an error log, as it was, where if there is an error that's thrown, whether it's during the learn process or something became corrupted, since you were last there and you installed them, it breaks it down. OC, each individual head, and it'll tell you, pictured here, this looked like a learn error, auto configuration error. So when you go up to this thing or while you're learning it, you click on that, it's an exclamation mark, I believe, or the triangle, sorry, it's the triangle. If that's flashing, there's an error. So you can click on it and it'll tell you what sensor head has an error, what's going on with the OC, why did it throw an error. So once again, for troubleshooting, learning, it's really second to none. It's the ease of troubleshooting this sensor system is quite incredible. Here on this slide, we're talking about, to piggyback off of what John was saying earlier, we want to emphasize these sensors learn themselves. You screw them to the door, wire them in, press this function switch, and they learn. Are they looking for normally open, normally closed, the test input, whether high, low, most importantly, the sensor position, regardless of what application you're putting this on, dual egress, dual in-swing, dual out-swing. I just a couple weeks ago did operating room pair doors where it had the small panel, the offset pair. Small panel was like 24 inches or so. The larger panel, I think, was 48. And I put these on. They learned first time, no issues. I had to shrink the zone a little bit on the short panel because it is so small. But the sensors learn all of this while they go through their setup. You don't flip dip switches. You don't tell it that it's a right-hand approach or a left-hand swing. You put the sensors up, and they figure it out by themselves. So there's no handing. If you carry 2 of these around on your truck, you can use them for a left, a right, a swing, approach. It doesn't matter to the Elite Pro system. I will say also, talking about learning the door, you can learn the sensors from the sensor head by pushing the function switch, or you can also learn them from the web-based app. So on the OC page, once you're in there, you can send the doors through a learn, and it actually shows you on your phone a status bar of the doors will open and close twice if all goes well. If they see something they don't like within those first 2 cycles, they'll go one more. But like I said, they'll go through the learn. You see the status bar, and it shows you 20%, 40%, 80 complete. So you know kind of where, if there was an issue, where it potentially could be. We also created a new manual from the previous Pro Swing Elite T. This manual is a really nice book. It's labeled really clearly. It's not all folded up, small in a box, and the letters are small. It's a really nice manual, easy to find what you're looking for. Everything is split up. There's plenty of pictures, so you know what to do, where. So we're proud of this manual, especially it's a big upgrade from the previous Pro Swing Elite T manual. And while we're talking about that, say you're in the manual, but you can't find what you're looking for, or it's just not making sense to you. One thing we pride ourselves on here at OPTEX is our tech support. John is one of our tech support reps. Our other is Perry Watkins, and if you go to our website, look at our sales map, you will find John and Perry's cell phone numbers. And they may not appreciate that all the time, but if you've ever been in the field and you're a door guy, you know what it's like to have a store manager looking at you, and you're just trying to figure out this thing to get the door back up and running. So we do not have, there's no 800 number to call. You're never going to call OPTEX and get a message such as, leave us a voicemail, we'll call you back for tech support. You call Perry or John's cell phone. If Perry or John are on the phone, they are excellent at dropping a text back saying, hey, I'm helping out another tech. Give me 5 minutes and I'll call you right back. So want everyone to be very clear on that. If you ever have an OPTEX question, call us, call Perry, call John, call even any one of your sales reps. Most of our team members were in the field at some point in their automatic door career. So our sales reps can take you pretty far. And if not, Perry and John will definitely get you taken care of. And then some important notes. John, I'll send this back over to you if you want to pick up from here.
All right. All right. Again, I told you I was going to talk about
I think John may have. Yep, I just saw someone confirm. We lost John. All right, I'll pick it up from here. I'm not sure what happened to John. You might have had an internet issue. But let me jump back in here. So some important notes that we wanted to emphasize during this presentation. John touched on it earlier. And on the first webcast we hosted, we had a ton of questions about the door loop, the door encoder, and a couple people had thought that this new system was wireless because we keep on emphasizing we got rid of the door loop. We got rid of the door position sensor shown here on the left. It's an actual sensor that's within this loop. That's what's telling the door control where the door is actually at in its cycle, whether it's halfway open or halfway shut. So now the new Elite Pro has a typical corrugated tube with a standard, I believe it's an 8 conductor wire that's feeding the sensor. Most other sensors, ours included, whether it's an Edge, not the Pro Swing because that had the door loop, but any door-mounted sensor that has a corrugated tube with a wire, now the new Elite Pro has just that. It does not have the position sensor that you mount beside the sensor head, and then you'd run the other portion to the frame. That has been completely eliminated. That was one of the biggest failure points on the Pro Swing Elite T. You could only put them so far apart. For example, you couldn't use them on swing clear hinges because the door would travel too far away from the frame and it would rip that position sensor in half. So that's eliminated. Just a standard wire, standard loop, corrugated tube that feeds power. This is the wire that's sending the information back to the controller. On top of all of that, it was a point of failure, and unfortunately, it was installed incorrectly. If that position sensor wasn't installed perfectly in a V, if one side was higher than the other, it would wear incorrectly. So with this new system, it eliminates that portion of the installer being able to make a mistake while mounting the door position loop. On top of that, most importantly, I would say this new system has way less components, which means that's less things that could break. There's only one controller, like we said, regardless if you're utilizing one sensor head on a low energy door or you're utilizing 2 or 4, you still only have one 907. There's no door loops. So we eliminated one controller and at least one loop from going bad, which would take the door out of commission. And this is, like we keep harping on, much easier to install. There's less drilling, there's less wiring, less room for error, less room for failure. John, we got you back.
Sorry about that, everybody. I'm having internet issues, and I apologize. Tyler, I caught in there. Good job of taking up where I guess I dropped off somewhere. But
yeah, right when you started going on that previous slide, your screen went blank. But I covered it. So if you'd like, John, I'll pass it back to you. You can talk about the door styles we've been testing that are still successfully running.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, applications tested in the field, and all these are still out in the field running good today. Not going to lie, during our beta testing, which is reason for beta testing, we did have a few little issues, some firmware stuff, but as to say, that's why we do testing in the field. We were able to clear that stuff up, and is from what we know now, everything is working great with all the new updates. Anything that you order from us will have all new updates. We're not going to send anything out that had any problems, firmware or software in it. So, but we have tested on dual doors, offset pairs, like in an operating room, the dual egresses, in swing or out swing, single swing doors, swing clear hinges, single and dual. We have them on the dual low energy. So single low energy, and we have it on doors that have astragal. So far so good. You know, during testing, we wanted to find problems. We found very minimal problems, and we were, in our engineering team, were able to correct and move on. So I'm happy to say that right now they're great, just for about any type of door system. So Tyler, could you take over and do the slides real quick? I think my internet's freezing again.
Yeah, sure, no problem, John. So another new tool that we have for everyone is the connection matrix. We had a similar connection matrix on our previous Pro Swing Elite T. This can be downloaded right from our website. You don't need credentials. Just log on to optexamerica.com, find the resource center at the top bar, and you can pull this connection matrix. It has been updated for the new Elite Pro. This new updated connection matrix you will see in the downloadable box, looking in the console. So you guys can go on right now, download this, hold on to it. This has pretty much every door control that's out there. There's maybe a few smaller OEMs that haven't been finalized yet, but every major OEM, their control is on here, whether it's old or new. So definitely utilize that for your field guys. I used to carry one of those around because you never know what you're going to come up on. So in summary here, just to cover our bases, the new Elite Pro is an easier installation, much easier installation, really easy setup. The sensor does most of the heavy lifting, like we said, of learning where the heads are. You don't have to tell them where they are. And maintaining the system, like we said, it has many less components that could fail. There's no door position loop. There still is a power transfer wire, but there is no door position loop. Less components to go bad, one control. Out of all the demos that myself, our team, John, Perry, have installed, we started installing these late in November, December 2022. They are all still up and running. None of us have been back to service any of them. We keep in close contact with the partners that we did these demo tests with, once or twice a month. If we don't hear anything, we assume no news is good news, but we call to check in. Hey, how is that new pair? And so far, so good. We've had no major issues. They haven't failed. We haven't had to go back to relearn anything. So it's a very resilient, robust sensor system that we're excited about. So that being said, I have a couple videos here, well, more than a couple. There's 5 videos. They're all short, 2 minutes long, and I'll talk through a bit of some of them. 3 of them are installs. 3 of them are demo units that I was a part of personally here in Florida. They were all at healthcare facilities, some hospitals, all different kinds all over Florida. So that being said, let me fire up this video for you guys.
That's our load setting. So yeah, go ahead.
So what we're watching here is myself and this technician I'm with installed, upgraded Pro Swing Elite T's to Elite Pros. So we didn't have to drill no new holes or anything. We removed the old sensors, hung the new ones on the same screws, and the technician I'm with just sent this door through a learn from the sensor head. You push and hold the button, doors are going to open and close twice. Once they're done opening and closing twice, they're learned.
Turn. See that one is red? I wonder if it's the wall that sticks out right in front of it.
Shouldn't matter.
I'm saying it should learn it.
Yeah,
But I wonder if that's why it detected that.
it learned.
What's the red?
The BG input.
Which that should be. So that's what we got.
So now I can give
You want to short them out?
Well, do you want to?
So that video there, that's just a learn cycle we did. That was installed, I believe, in early January or February, and that door has not had any issues since. It's one of the busier doors at that healthcare facility. It's actually where they bring out all of the trash and everything that you want to get out of a hospital. So all the laundry. While we were there installing that day, several dozen people went through that set of doors. So it's one of the busier sets. By this time, it has had, I don't know how many, probably thousands of openings. But like I said, no issues. And the partner we did that with spends a lot of time at that hospital. So every time they're there on a different service call, they go take a look at it. And it's been up and running great for several months. The next video I'm going to play is the web-based app that I told you about. So here you'll see this is sending the doors through a learn from the application. And this was actually shot in Japan at our headquarters. And these are engineers that are doing this test. This video, you'll notice, is sped up so we don't run out of time. So the doors aren't really moving that fast. So that tells you the learn is complete. And here is the status page that we're very excited about. So you'll see the infrared dots turn red as you go through them, and it shows you on your phone what the sensor heads are doing. Here, knowing act was turned off. That's why the sensors are firing when they approach them. That is adjustable. If you turn knowing act on, you're looking, the controller's looking for a signal from a wave plate, push plate. So there's that one. This is a dual egress pair of doors. Once again, this was Pro Swing Elite T's that were upgraded. We removed the Elite T's. We installed Elite Pros. It's a dual egress pair on a 521 Classic. This is also going from a waiting room into, I forget the department, it might have been outpatient surgery, something along those lines. Very busy door. This has also been running for several months. All right.
Go ahead.
And this is just a dual out
I got 'em.
pair we put them up on at another hospital. And lastly, this video shows adjusting the zones within the browser application. So here you'll see 4 sensor heads. That is the infrared pattern that they are throwing. And the little, they almost look like dip switches, but they're digital dip switches. You'll see the rows are turning off. So you can configure each individual head specific to the zone that you're looking for. You know, if there's a desk or there's a something that's in the way of one of the sensors, you can shrink that zone. And here you'll see they just turned off the zone, so it's not firing. But then when you go to the middle of the doors, that zone is still active, so it fires the doors. And here they're showing there's 3 rows of infrared. You can shut down the 3rd row. The first 2 rows must stay on. You'll also notice I didn't mention on this status page near the bottom, it shows you the LED lights that are on the controller inside the header. So you can watch and see in real time what LED lights are getting fired off without having to open the header, try to get up on a ladder and look to see what's happening. You just look at it from your phone on the ground. So say you had a motor voltage issue or something's going on, those LED lights are going to tell you there's an error, you need to adjust the wiring, programming. So that's the web-based app, so you guys could see it. And we got some time here, so let's do, I'll kick off the Q.